or it could be a larger change, but that takes years to get to where you're hoping you're going to get to. But at least you're working on something. When you're not actually working on yourself, that's when it's the hardest to control. So try to keep that in your mind that I'm trying to be a better teacher, I'm trying to be a better fighter, I'm trying to be more, take care of my body better, and all of those things. And then it just becomes part of your life, right? Because it's an ongoing thing. So, I know that for me, I'm not as fast, not like, I'm not as fast as I used to be, probably not even as agile, I can't jump as far. My burst is probably not as great as it used to be. But now, people watch the videos when I'm biking, they're like, are you getting faster somehow? And fast, you gotta be careful. Some people think fast is just a lot of dynamic movement. That doesn't necessarily mean it's fast. I know fast people. It's like throwing a sword. People are like, wow, you're fast. You tell a wrong baller is fast as that. They're like, oh, man, the wrong baller is super fast. He is very, I joke with him all the time when I have my shoulders on. I'm like, look, I can throw a slow slot shot too, because I can converse. And I actually worked on throwing slow shots, which is very difficult. But he does that all the time. But when he sets up a slow shot, it's like, all right, pull you into something, and then you're stepping, and you're like, why am I stepping into this flow? Like, and you don't know you're doing it. And they're like, so all you know is like, wow, that sword just hit me. That's so fast it didn't hit. And it's like, no, he just invited you to a place where his sword was going to be. So, even though he doesn't burst a lot, his timing makes up for that space. So we always have to be careful on what we consider fast. Because I've seen guys that are very fast, and things. Some of those guys that are very fast, we have to teach them to be slow. Because they rely on fast. And when you take fast away, what do they get? So, think about it in that way. That your skills, the way you work, like Ron Waller, I called Ron Waller for a long time. I can't teach him how to burst. He has more burst than he used to, but that's not the way he's built. But everybody has the way you're built, and you can take it. He still brings the same shots as I do, he just adds one step. So, doesn't matter how fast you are, just take the things you do well and add more layers to it, and then do it. Come see ya!
You guys get yourself, please.
Oh, yeah. So, all right, so let's, we got both folks? One more.
He's just walking his car.
All right.
And then I'll introduce you and then throw out the rules.
How you doing?
Don't be afraid to step out and get water and stuff like that. I'd rather be behind you than see you. How's the body feeling? That's good.
No, I did get close. I was expecting to take it like this.
Nice.
The last 3 months was like,
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. You look like you were feeling pain and strawberry.
Anyone have questions there? Okay.
So probably what we're going to do is, just so you know, we'll do the introduction piece, and then we're just going to go into some basic stretches. You guys are all already smart enough to do some stretches. I'm going to do a couple of stretches that are more specific to what we do to help. It's going to actually help in the class. I am going to go back to one of my old footwork and do a little bit of ladder so I can help you guys understand how the ladders are used and why. But then we're going to get those off and we're going to go back into some old footwork stuff that I used to do all the time before I did that. More body flow work and how to move the body instead of, using what a lot of, our normal is. If I want to go over there, I load up here and I step up. That's the normal for people. Yeah, right. in boxing, and for some people who want to burst, when they're not loading up on this one, they're already shifting over this one. Right? So they're already shifting over this one, and they just lift and they choke. But that is actually not the norm. Even in boxing sometimes, yeah. But it also generates power, right?
Just wait for him.
No. So we're gonna make sure that people understand how to get there. If you don't normally do that, it takes a while. The ladder really helps you understand how to get there, especially like, you know, and most of our ladder drills, and I'll show you how they work in fighting. But most of our ladder drills, the idea is like, oh, I gotta get over there. So people are like, I load up on this one, I do this. I load up on this one, I lift this one, I do this one. Right? That's actually true motion. In this ladder drill, we'll go through this. All you do is you start shifting here, and you just fall in, right? Then I just point into that 45, I'm gonna go there, and start going, and I lift and go. And it becomes, that gathering point becomes much easier, and you're just falling into stuff. So it's just like,
I have a question.
yeah.
Does the ladder move, does practicing on the ladder constantly ruin your ability to slide? You're always constant.
No, in fact, because, so that's, remember that the ladder drill, you have to break in, so I do a lot of ladder. Ladder is a great way to get you to do smaller feet. By the way, lots of the C-foot that come out of martial art, and most of that is only to try to get you to stay closer to the ground and have smaller steps.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because that's what it does. So that same thing, you know, so you can teach it, you can still teach this strength. It's the gathering foot that's the biggest piece. It's like, you know, if you don't have this gathering foot constantly, so even when I'm over here, doesn't matter what I do, I can even do this, right? And there's gonna be some stuff like, I'm gonna show you a pass behind. And I'm gonna tell you why that works, and when you would use it. But most of the time in almost any sport, they're like, never put your foot behind the other. Do it all the time.
Tell us to do it.
Alex?
Yeah, he has that one, oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brannos has taken a lot of time and a lot of effort to come over, so please listen to him. If you've got an ego, leave it at the door. We're here to train, we're here to do nothing else other than training. If you get too much coming into your brain, walk away, have a coffee, sit down for a while, come back into it, okay? Administratively, please, don't take a knee when we get into some free fighting, assuming we're good enough that he lets us, so that we're not scratched on the floor. Have a good time. About 4 o'clock, I will start asking people to drop out of so that we can get out for 5, which is when the lunch will be arriving at some stage, I think that's necessary. Warm welcome to Duke Brannos.
Thank you. So I've already been talking a lot already. This is a help escape right into what we're going to do. Like I said, ask questions. That was a great question. It's like, if you do too many of these, or does this limit your movement? I will tell you I have more dynamic movement than I did before. And it's because I would never do this. Not that much more, use this. The shuffle, right? And it's because those are relatively dangerous steps. And a lot of sports tell you never cross feet. Because then a lot of STA people tell you never cross feet. Because when you're cross-footed, this is a weakness. It's only a weakness if they can run ahead. Right? If I'm this far away from him, I can absolutely do this. I can do it from here if I can just put him in enough tension and get him going one way. Hey! I can absolutely do this. So understand that even in boxing, they'll never cross the feet. They do it all the time. And I can break the rule when you know the rules. So instead of that idea, I just tell you why, and we practice those techniques. So it doesn't practice later, we practice now. We start with the basic. I will tell you some of the stuff I'll talk and say in here is specific at there's the ladder names and things like that. I'm not going to worry about them. We're just going to execute them. But they come out of soccer, they come out of boxing, they come out, and then lots of people follow different stuff. So, I'm not all the names, but I will give you, this is a simple gathering drill. Key, I go to throw a blow, I do this. This is wrong. Nothing wrong with being here while you throw it, as long as that one keeps going. Okay? It's when we get into wide places, you have to be here. So we'll talk about that. And that's what the ladder helps. It helps us constantly understand what a gather is, or what a shuffle is, or what a, a cross back what it is. That way we know. All right. So usually I start, at our practices, before we start doing ladders, we just do a little bit of warm up. We don't do a ton of warm up. I would say warm the things up that you know you have. You should know what you're working on in your body that is worse than other parts. The warm up that we go through, and depending on what, this is the biggest one because there's a lot of knee ankle scenarios across all sports. So only do a warm up. Remember, when you're stretching, don't force it. So if you're going to try to get more flexibility, do it at the end of practice. Don't do it at the beginning when you're actually still tight. So when I'm going to show you an example. When you're just doing something like, if I'm going to touch my toes, I just relax, and then I breathe out, but I'm not tilting. Because when you start pulling your muscles, actually pull back. So just let it breathe. Let your breathing take you down into that position. This is not a scenario where we're competing to get their hands on the floor, who can do all of those things. This is just letting that back relax. And we're getting a really mild stretch. And then we just breathe, then get back up. Okay? And we can do a couple of those. I'm going to do these because right now I'm dealing with, I do some of these I'm dealing between IT band and sciatica. I deal with that a bit. In my sciatica, it's probably the worst. It came on. But sciatica usually lots of times comes on from over-strengthening backside. So you got your front doesn't get a lot of work in what we do, same with your shoulders, by the way, shoulders and back. You get a lot of shoulder work, check the chest work, but you don't get a lot of back work. So same thing happens actually in your lower body and sciatica. Pull your hips back and get outer flexion, and that causes sciatica, sometimes especially the nerves that are getting stuff. So, all right, so here's the first hard one for a number of people. Do this to where you're comfortable. I don't care if you're comfortable here. If this is like, all right, now I'm a little worried, so stop right there. And this is where your point is to stop. For the rest of us, he's going to be like, I can touch my butt to the floor. Right? Do that. But I tell you, I have a 76-year-old guy at practice, another 78-year-old. They both can go all the way down. His footwork is better than I've ever seen it because he practiced ladder for the last 4 years. So just go down to where you need. It's interesting, people are like, well, I got bad knees and I got these things. The issue in that is when you go to a PT doctor, they're like, you're going to be doing ladders. We're going to work. Go ahead and stand up. We're going to do 10 of this. Just sit. In this exercise, keep your feet flat on the floor. Okay? So it's a lot more like a normal squat. Okay? But we're still going to keep our chin up. Okay? This is going to be very important to the next one. So we're just going to do 8 or 10 of them or whatever you feel comfortable with. It's not that if you're like, oh, 5 of them, I'm good. Right? Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to work so that we're just strengthening our body. Guess what happens a lot when we fight or when we do any sport? We bend our knees. And that's what we're doing. By the way, there's lots of stuff that talk about this is one of the most healthy positions, and as you see a lot of the world in this position all the time. It's a very healthy position to be in, and it flexes a lot of your body. This next one is a little bit more key to our disciplines. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about being stacked. A lot like dance, if anybody's done dance, even ballroom dance, they talk about being stacked. And when they talk about being stacked, my hips are here. This is not stacked. Because my body is not actually over my hips anymore. So these hips tuck under your body. This is actually not a normal position, a dance position. It's also a fighting position and things like that. What's happening is your knees are bent, and my body are directly over my feet. So as long as my body are over my feet all the time, it makes it much easier to move. When I don't do that, then all of a sudden you feel yourself stepping in stuff. So everybody, I want everyone to go ahead and stand perfectly straight, and I want you to just bend your knees. There you go. And if you, that looks good. Good. Nice. Okay, everybody turn sideways. Good. Yep. Yeah, very good. That's perfect. So, really, you guys did that all, and I apologize, I use guys a lot, I'm like in school, so.
That's fine. I'm
Okay,
cool with that.
thank you.
He's one of the guys. Guys, you get the neutral.
Well, it used to be, not anymore.
Yes.
So, the big piece here is, you know, when you all step into this is the position you always want to be in. It's no different than when you're standing there in your perfect position to start something. This is the position we always want to be in. But when we find ourselves just wandering out of that position, including, I'll start throwing those. Is that the position anymore? It is not. Right? And I'll talk to you why that's been. But in this exercise, watch my back. The key in this exercise is to stay in this position. This time our heels are going to come off the ground. We're going to be on the balls of our feet. Not super high, you don't have to, that's going to be part of this exercise. So, and you're just going to try to stay in this position as long as you can. If it's halfway, if it's just a little bit, that's fine. If it's all the way, it's no big deal. And you're going to come back up, and at the very top end, I want you to push. And I'll tell you why. What's happening in that last push, you can just do these by themselves. What's happening in this last push is you are developing more strength in your feet. Because we don't think about it. But just like tennis, just like many other sports, a lot of power comes out of this last bit of snap in those feet, right? You're going from this foot to this foot. The more, if this foot is weak, then your arch will collapse, and then you'll be flat on the ground. Actually, you have to be careful because what's happening now is now my foot is flat on the ground, and I'm twisting my body. My knee is not in the same line as my foot. And that's when knees get dangerous. Okay? So the more you are on the ball of your foot, when I throw, look at these are turning out. This one's turning. So they stay with you. This is much better for knee and for power. I see this, I used to do this a lot. Does that look like my foot's going in the same way my knee's going? Absolutely not good for your knees. So be careful, that's a very common thing. We don't ever adjust people. We are not good at adjusting people for that. And if you want them to stay around, we try to help them. And we help them understand why not. Alright, so that's why everybody did like, it says make sure we do at least about 5 of those and then push it, and then you're gonna really feel like those yeah, there you go. It's interesting because now you're also stability is happening, right? So what's happening in stability here is there's a ton of lower ankle work, and foot work is actually all these little small muscles, such muscles in your feet are stabilizing. But while they're stabilizing, they're getting strong. So I've had people with knee and ankle problems that had to wear braces, and I just had them do what they could do. And then after 4, 5, 6 months of stuff, a lot of them took the braces off because they didn't need it. But that's just because we're doing repeat. Yeah. Really, that's all. Okay? Alright, so you can see how this is great because now, if you don't know how much stuff, there's a lot of stuff going on in those balls of the feet. We talk about staying on the ball of the feet all the time. Alright? By the way, in boxing, there's big controversy between ball of the foot, flat foot. All of that is 100% true. You get more power flat-footed out of things, right? Ball of the foot is more movable than, a lot of Mexican boxers are flat-footed, but that's because they're just walking in. And it's just constant. Yes, sir.
The question is, do we really need that power?
No, we don't. We're 100% in our game. I think a lot of us, we get a sword in our hand and we expect it. I gotta hit it really hard, and it's like, oh, that's not what I'm doing. But we still practice it. But that's not your right. Some people throw so much power that they throw technique.
What's the exact in the ball?
So the ball of your foot, there's a couple of, so this is the toe of your foot, very, you can actually feel it. But go, I want you to stand up, you see, you feel it, just get your heels off the ground. Right there, that's the ball of your foot.
Right.
Now I want you to push up even higher. And you notice now it's pushing into your toe. You feel your toe getting engaged more? Like, and if you stand up here and stay here, all of a sudden you can feel all your toes are actually helping you control your stability. Which is actually very good too, because you're going to find yourself when you're fighting, including these long throws, there's a lot of stability that's coming from the front of your foot.
Right.
Does that help you? All right. So, the last of these next ones, you probably get a little bit away from the wall, just pick some places, you can come all around the other map. So, these are specifically fighting, most people already do these. Right? And if you don't do them, there's a good reason to do them, I'll tell you why. But all we're gonna do is we're gonna get in your stance. I don't care if you're right, left handed, or what, funny foot, non-funny foot, but just get in a stance, because we're gonna do it both ways. Okay? And we're gonna just, and even a flat stance, I do this stance all the time. We'll talk about lengths and different stances. Even this way you can do this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna roll all the way forward onto your knee. So keep this, keep straight back, head up, chin up. And just push all the way forward, chest up. We're going to keep that stack. And then we're going to hold here. Right? We're on the ball of the foot. Right? A lot of work, man. Okay? And then we're going to go all the way back. And we're just going to sit on that back foot. Now, when you do this, try to keep your head flat. Look at me. Here I come. You see how flat that head is? Standard martial arts, man. The reason why we keep our head flat is because it's harder for a person to see movement. The later it takes a person to see a movement, the harder it is for them to walk. Just go all the way up. Right? And then back, see how you're leaning a little bit? So just tuck that, think, there you go. And then back. Same thing. Try to top that up, relax. There you go. Good. That's great. And take your belt, take your belt, pull it full. There you go. And you don't have to go that far. That's good. And then that. Okay? And then when you go back, keep your back foot flat, so you're nice and stable over that knee.
Yeah.
Okay, remember to bend. Bend your legs. So you got a little bit of height in yours, so
Yeah.
you're wobbling.
Yeah.
If you bend your knees, take that wobble. Okay? Two more, and we're just going to switch. Sometimes, I will tell you, I'm lucky enough that we have a lot of people in practice, and a lot of nights and stuff, that will be the first one doing this, so that everybody else. Even long volley doesn't necessarily do it with us on the ladder, all big lines. Will come and do his footwork, it warms him up and get into his fight. Okay, switch. By the way, this also can show you which part is weak on you. Because if you're weak on one side, then that means there's weakness in what you do. And you're going to favor strength. And if you favor your strength over time, the other side's going to keep getting weaker, and so will your offense or defense. And your opponent's going to see where you favor stuff. Good part is, many of our opponents don't are that high of quality to see it. But if we're not working on those people, we're working on ourselves. Okay? And again, bend those knees all the way. Yeah. There you go. Good. So you're going to part of that, and then when you come back, think about leaning that back knee and come back. See how your head's staying nice and your hips are like, if you look at me, I'm here, look where my hip is, and then I come all the way back to the same spot. Right? I don't move it up and down.
Which does it.
You're going to get lost. I get lost. Okay? I really do. So you get really strong at this, and I used to be able to do this better, is you'll start getting in here, you can actually get that back foot off the ground, and that really starts, you see, now you're really working. Right? So lock is very important.
Yeah.
So pick that up and try to keep your chest up. Yes.
Not going to mechanical testing.
Nope.
And that's why we work at to get better at this. The stronger you are, you're here, doesn't matter, we're not gonna do that cycle. But what we're doing is, we're strengthening, we can see where the strength in our foot is coming. And we're also learning again, whenever you're trying to constantly balance your body, lots of small muscles are used for balance. And we don't use those small muscles. Okay? Yeah, forward. There you go. Yeah, now your angle back is up. I want you to think that here we are, like eyes right on, keep on, go back. Yeah, you really got to bend that now, eyes leaning straight. Ah, there you go. Okay? So the reason we do it flat head here is this becomes here I am. I'm going to do something and you just flick your hand when I do it. Ready? Okay, ready? Let's do it again. Good. Let's do it again. Good. Right? Because much like standing on a train track, you guys get this a lot better than Americans do. It is very hard to see on fast trains because there's no perspective. When you get perspective, if I'm over here and I can see it, then you can see how fast something is going. So in movement, if you're giving somebody no perspective, it takes a while for them to see that. Okay? And then later we'll talk about how to bring a sword into no perspective and all of those other pieces. So you're going to make yourself go fast, I'll be fast. All right, so we can kind of do that with both feet. Now we're going to do side by side. Okay? And I did not do these for a long time, and they totally make sense. One of the other nights in our group was like, I do this at home. And now we're just going to switch side by side. Again, keep that head even, and we're going to go side by side. All right? So this is a super important one. It's like, well, watch. If Elmo's going to be throwing something, like he may be standing right in front of me, and if he's working the angles, he's going to come over here, work this angle, and then he's going to shift over here, and then he's going to work that angle. Well, this is what we're doing in fight, right? So the idea is, if we practice these and become stronger at them, how is it going to impact your fight? If we never practice them, never understand that we're doing them, do we really know what we're doing? Right? So there's a better idea of understanding, like I'm here, I'm some pressure over here, I'm some pressure here, my hook in here, am I getting into a longer stance? By the way, just so everybody knows, when I am here, okay, or I have a lot of jump, you can get side by side. Because when I'm here, I don't worry about trying to dodge back and forth so much. I worry about dodging in here. All right, get offline. So this feet can come solid. Because everyone's like, what's your stance? Change it. When I'm way out here, my stance can get very long. Because here I am, if I'm side by side, how far can I go forward? Not very much. But now, if I'm very long, look at this. Right?
Line between the feet and force in the direction I want to move.
Yeah, but I want to forward. Lots of sides. We got some distance back in the long distance, right? We have a man having that again, explain a lot is why do we get into feet change. The more dynamic you are with your feet and understand where your weaknesses and strengths are, the better you are. But in this case, I'm way out here. Can I hit you? There's no way, right? But if I'm here, I can lean, and then if I'm here, I can lean, right? And so I'm here, I can. So you get a lot more distance on these far leans. But if I'm here, side to side, it becomes a lot harder. But I don't need side to side. So think about that when you're like, oh, I wasn't in good feet, but maybe you were. And maybe that is where you're supposed to be, but now you're forcing yourself into something that's not as good as it should be. So don't worry, later on you're just don't worry about feet. But you have to get to that point where you're not worried about feet. And that's why we practice all these things with both feet. My feet, I'll change up. I don't find a funny foot, but I throw a lot of shots from funny foot. Not because, I'm just working something, right? You know?
Funny touch.
Well, funny foot it's just sort of.
Reaches,
Yeah.
also on is looking for you.
It's good, yeah.
So I fight you can put all the time.
Yeah, so well, by the way, folks that do fight foot, you probably don't have to worry about it bigger. You may have to worry about it a little bit more. Remember, right off the bat, if you're not in a good functional stance, funny foot, or goofy foot, you're breaking part of your kinetic chain. So you're losing hip turn. In fact, what happens if your hip is already turned, you're going to overturn it and not actually be pointing it at your hip. So that becomes a problem. So when you're in this stance, you should actually tuck this hip back in your pocket. That way when you hear it, not having to point at my. So just be careful when you're doing that if you're, and even Luke Van, if you ever watch him, he's waiting. But he tucks back here. And he talks about all that, he's here, but this shield's not doing a lot of angles. So you're tucking.
Is he still keeping the shoulder back while the strikes? He's not rolling the shoulder out?
Oh, I'm sure he does. He throws a lot.
Yeah, but it doesn't roll the shoulder.
No, because if this is already, you have to be careful, if I'm talking about this out there.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's actually, we're gonna talk sort a lot later, and we're gonna talk public weaknesses a lot about where the shoulder is, right? And using your lat instead of your shoulder muscle to develop those. Most of it comes out of the West Zooms, right? But that's just the beginning. I can throw that same time this way. And I can change that angle any way I want. It doesn't matter. But if you look, if I put my shoulder up, then it's also. You leave it down here, you engage, and you push this. There's lots of pieces that chain here. But this element comes across, hand, comes to your chin, and now you're pushing back. So, we'll talk about that one. So, everyone got a decent, we did side to side. Really, for the most part, then I usually tell people, if you have shoulder problems, grab your helmet, do the basic shoulder stuff. Just let that swing here, between the legs. These, right? What's going to do is going to pull, it's going to start getting fluid back into that joint before we start going. So if we have shoulder problems, first figure out what it is, what's the best practice in strengthening for it, and then warm it up. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep that shoulder problem, it's just going to keep getting. Okay? But those are, I can go through a ton of stretch. This is, more stretching than I even used to. So, but I can tell you, warm up is great. I have people that practice now, I was just talking about this the other day. I was very proud of it the other day because we're like walking, we're not being very good teachers. And we're talking, and I see everybody's armored up. Usually we're already doing some more muscle stuff. Nobody was fighting because they're all waiting for it. And they're all waiting to get some type of drill, or drill, sword drill in before we went for it. So if you develop a culture, people really enjoy it. And then the ones that don't, don't force people to do things they want to do. Okay, today I'm going to coach some people. All right. So I want to go ahead and develop. Who else has done ladder drills here? Anyone? Okay. Who's really good at that? I think I've done them a lot. A lot. All right. Who?
I've done them a lot, but I'm not good at them.
Okay. So I just want somebody else to done them. Count on the other ladder. They're your ladder. You have to be an expert. All right. So we're just going to start with the easiest one. And the easiest one is just a simple, essentially gather step. We're going to, you remember when we were just doing this long push here? You see how the hips are leading? We are actually going to do that same thing, except our hip is going to lean this way. And when you get to a point where I feel like I'm going to follow this foot, just let it fall off. You just lift it from the ground. You notice it doesn't go very far, and then you just let it fall off. A lot of times I'll just point, and I'll start shifting. I'm like, oh, hey, there's nothing there. Start shifting. It's easy to lift that. Okay? And then back, And we'll go ahead and let this feet switch. I don't really care. Just try to make it feel like you're falling into the position you want. There's another way to do this, and what happens is like, I load up on this foot, I stretch out, and then I set it. I load up, stretch out, set it. That's not really what we're looking for. So if we're really looking for, see how he's shifting to the foot? Right? So he's shifting his hip over, and he just lifts it up a little, and just drops. Okay? That drop gives you a little bit more power. This drop haven't actually came from boxing. So, really important for people that are smaller, okay, to, if you're gonna close, drop your head, right? If you did it at the same time, your foot gathers, and you're in. But that drop a lot of you gives you more fun. All right, so go ahead, let's get 2 lines on either side. And we're just going to go through a couple of these. You do not have to be perfect. So again, I just, go ahead.
Just have a question, is it better to not look down?
So remember, the trick is, we do not even need these legs.
Oh, no,
So yeah, it is better to look down, because what does your shoulders do when you look down?
no, I just didn't know.
Yeah, yeah, shift over here. I see how now you're doing a different step, so you're crossing.
Oh, yes.
So think about lean right in towards me.
Yep.
Yes, now lift that foot, step up. You do fall first. Lean, fall.
Yep.
Lean, fall. Nice. You should feel yourself falling and catching yourself. All right, so now you just lean here, lift that foot. Lift it. There you go, good. Lean here, lift it. There you go. Yeah, lean. Lift it. A little bit different, but that's okay.
No, lift it down.
Lean.
That's the best kind of thing.
That's okay. Look, this is the same way I did it. Lean. Lean. That's okay. So you know this side, you cannot adjust. Okay? Lean. Think about 45. Okay? Remember to put the ladder in. Okay? Lean. Yeah. Now, don't lean so far. Don't a little bit, and then so lean. No. Okay? Not even as far. Lean like this. Very lean. Lean like this. You gotta get it across on. Yeah, I think so.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Good. Yeah, that's it. And now one of these guys is like practice staying the same height. Look at a point on the wall. That should be the same height all the time. There you go. You're actually not doing it bad. You're doing a really good job on this frame. So, good. Stay up there. There we go. See how you're crossing on this time? Lean on it. Yeah.
That's what I'm doing wrong.
Lean on this foot.
You just learn what you learn. There is
No. Take it slow, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Folks, if you've done a bit of fencing, it's a bit like a lunge or a flash, right? So you're not putting your weight on your front foot before you move. We're kind of used to like, once you put weight on that, put that foot
Okay.
up. This is the opposite. That's the fall.
Here we are.
Yeah.
A fencing lunge, your weight and your foot goes back.
So, what
Done here.
Just a little bit, this, right here, bigger not this. Yeah, no, bring it. Be right here. What? Oh, there. Stay here, see. There you go. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Where's my weight going now?
So, here you can.
My brain's just,
Okay. Here we are.
I'm really thinking.
So the back foot, what you're gonna do is gonna lean right towards the knee. It's fine, literally, 45. And just get it sit on, and then back foot. And kind of face it, right. Start leaning towards me, instead of that one. Right here. Right where it is. Yeah. Now step right here. Lean right forward, there we go, then lean forward,
Yeah, no.
yeah, you want to lean back.
Yeah, yeah.
Lean forward.
That's what I'm.
Right, so just bend this knee, so here we are. I'm gonna start bending into, actually, we've got that bottom foot. Bend into that. Now, you put too much in. So what you're doing is you're keeping the same stance all through this, so what's happening a little bit is you're here, and then here. So if you have to, start leaning, and then just lift this and fall off. And do it really slow. I start leaning, I lift, and I fall off. There you go. Lean, lean. Now you can have your knees back down. There you go. Now you're back into the lean right into that 45 and then lift that 47. Separate. That's okay. That's okay. I was careful too, my requirement to deal with that for a long time. There you go. Now, take that last hold. Shoot right through my thumb. There you go. Ready? Shoot right to this side. There you go. Shoot right to this side. Good. Yeah. There you go. Good. Yeah. See how you're loading up on that foot? Yeah, but I was doing it right. And you do it or fast or slow. Right. I get it. But the more you understand and connect all the blocks, right? So anything we do the first time is necessarily always great. So now we're doing something slow. Right? So all I want you to think about is this one. And so you understand, you're going to say that foot. This one. And I'm doing it. What's up? You just shake your hand. So now when you figure out you're loading up, so when I'm here, I can be over here. Right? But if I was somebody, what I wanted to do. So you're going to be like, you're here, and up and top. There you go. I don't want to see the idea is, but you're still looking up. And then you watch it. There you go. And you move that corner. Remember to give this and you're off. You're kind of off balance here. Get off way. Take your stance. There you go. And that stance is going to switch back and forth. Yeah, you're just kind of falling into each corner. There you go. Better. As big as you want. I mean, this step can be very large. So you could literally, if you're way out here, you're gonna be here. Okay? Or I think another 90 millimeter.
So I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, you just have to make sure you're gathering your focus. Yeah. And up.
So different from what I am, my dad was only that they make much more.
And you can, the ladder sometimes will bring you. Right? So,
It's not a good way to think about it.
you can let that bring us, the first, bring the front.
It's just,
Now you lean and then it's not running. So from here, again, you get, so and then from here, if you want, you can still do from here, lean a little bit that way, come back to the outside. There you go. Put that to there. There you go. Put that to there. There you go. See how flat you are? Yeah, you have to bring how you're just working over. The second, the last is actually distracting the columns to usually work, so.
Because I was thinking about it.
Right. So anywhere, if the ladder actually bothers you, do it right next to it. Or do it back here, I don't care. If you have a question, it doesn't feel right, then let me know, but the big piece here is that sometimes the ladder is too big. No, you don't care. This ladder is only here so people don't understand. So, overstanding the ladder is good, right? Right? So the ladder gives you opportunity to see how they like it. Later on, we're going to do some. We're gonna actually burst off this foot, but we're gonna start leaning. The burst is gonna be here. So, the good thing about a ladder is it helps you understand how far it works. So it's a measuring tool for you, but, you know, here's one of the simplest ones. Everybody just go ahead and we're gonna run this one time. This is this is just a double A foot, right? All we're gonna do is, we're gonna pick a foot. Keep your head flat while you're doing it. Okay? Look at the wall, look at that dot on the wall, right? Keep your eyes from rubbing up and down. Super easy. What we're learning in this one is very small steps. Use the same foot. Right? Always the same foot on the first one. If you've gone through this once in our muscle,
Sorry.
use the other foot to be the leader. I know that. Now you're gonna use the other. Keep closing up. Exactly. So then on this one, I'm using the other foot. You will find you are better on one foot than the other foot.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Always. Alright. Now we're going to do a different one. By the way, in all of these, there's the opposite foot, and then you can do the same thing, guys. I don't care. You notice I'm stepping all over this thing. Okay, see how? Now I want you to try this. This is going to be another. I want you to go back and do this. This time sit. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay? So if you look down, you can't sit. There you go. Don't let the shoulders be too far back. So again, in all of these, it's hard one foot or the other foot sometimes. I have a practice with a couple of these, my other foot still doesn't go down wrong. Let me go around. Good. And look. Yeah, you lost a little bit. But later, as you practice this, you're going to Exactly. Because here's the trick. When I'm attacking, and let's show you what happens here, okay? You're going to attack me. Well, we do this all the time. All of a sudden, right? What am I doing? I am doing that.
Yeah.
By the way, even better in this exercise, we're doing it in a straight line. Because you never do anything in a straight line. So, but the idea here is I can go back and I just put my ball where I want to go. Right? Yeah, you're trying the other one. So if you're trying the other one backwards all of a sudden, just going back into the 45, right? Lean vertical. There you go. See how the hip really kind of pulls during this point, right? That the critical part of this is that we're not focusing on one leg and missing it on the other.
It takes more thought.
Yes. But this is the available.
Okay, but I only said
So I think
I should my right level. I totally know on this one. Also, you know,
I'm all the way on the court. I flip and fall. Yeah, so when you put what happens, you have to have pressure. So if I have to do it, it's like it's not here. I have to do it. I'm going to be sort of strong, share out.
Right. And so you don't really follow. Like, that's not what I'm here, but I'm it's just like,
All right. You use a lot of fun. Yeah, that's fine.
I didn't
So, yeah, and for us, I don't know, I just know, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you can actually, you have a couple of our people got really good, you switch it, like,
So I was thinking, when you were talking about this, backing up.
that's right. Yeah, sure, I mean, black, white, and something. Yeah. Yeah, the hard part about sticking your butt out is your footwork maximum. We're always, we have to do it right before you move it into the floor. Because the flow, you want to do your footwork. If you don't have to do your footwork, start with it. Flow is right. So we have to learn to
So you basically adjust
Yeah, fair. Okay, well, we're gonna try this one, and I'm just gonna add a couple of more, we're gonna do that one too, but we're gonna add a couple more really easy ones, this is double in, double up. This is how we make it. Okay, again, this can be done forward and backwards, lead foot chain. So there's four ways to do it. I'll put back foot, if I would never went across the bottom, now we'll do it. Right, and then put back, pull the feet back to the bottom. And, it makes your foot go straight. So here, I'm gonna do, get ready. Here I am, I'm in the box. Step forward, box, box. Step forward, box, box. Step forward, box, box.
It's slow, because I wasn't getting it before.
Yeah, step forward. If it ain't interesting, it becomes difficult, but it's actually super easy if you want to do it, right?
Now, step forward, Joe.
Yeah. That's okay. Bring that foot, the other, bend it in outside first. Just step right there, and the other foot outside. Now both feet back into the box. And then outside, in the box. Outside, in the box.
Yeah, this is part of the.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you get better at this, pick up that speed. I got a young man that is stupid fast. Yeah, it's hard. You can't pick up speed right away. At the very beginning, yes, there you go. At the very beginning, just think about doing it right way. Okay? There, yes. Done letters before? Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. Oh, really? Out, out. Remember, both feet go out, both feet go in. All right. If you already feel good, let's turn around and do it. I can know. Yeah. Good. Nice job. So here we are. And
I keep wanting to do this, but.
I know. That's actually another one we do.
Oh, this is all on the same. So everything.
So the good part is that I when we So the idea is the better we get, what usually happens is the wrong part of but if you need the right stuff to understand it, right? Then you have that fundamental. But always, you know, touch the ground sometimes, but always on, you know, kind of the this part of the ball. Okay? Not on the far front ball, but on the back mid ball. So you just want to think. Right. You're standing flat, right? Standing here, standing. You feel it forward. Now you roll the knees forward. You know what's happening. And now, every time. Now, put your feet on the ground. Hip back. See how? Yeah, back. Alright. So we just did in and out, we just did, so some of these are quick agility. Here's another great one to practice. This one's a little harder. This is actually complex not because of the footwork, but because of the execution and how it's done. This is fundamental boxer technique. Okay? We said we take this foot, we post it, and we push it. It's absolutely not the way to do it. Okay? What I do is I shift this heel, or this hip, over this front foot, and as this one, and then I shift it back. See how this is? Because if I shift here and I push, I'm getting pop. And what we're trying to do is bang, up, bang, up, bang, up, bang, up. There's a little push here, and I can make a finger. Look, if I want to make it, I start going down. Right, but we have to get that forward momentum. That gives you a longer push. But why this is complex is because, look, I'm leaning a little bit, but I probably a little bit more, maybe 60, 70% of it is like, man, just a tiny little bit and I fall. And that foot just comes with me, doesn't it? And then shifting back, and I fall back. There is two shifts from your energy shifting from forward to backwards very quickly. That is actually a relatively complex subject when we're not talking about people using their hips to move them around. So, the key on this one, I'll tell you the bad part, you can do this fast or you can do this right. Lots of boxers do this fast. So they'll turn their foot as they're coming in because it feels natural. Problem is, for a jab, they don't hit. Where's my feet? Also, your foot is turned across your opponent. So think when you do that jab, think of where your feet are. Try to make sure your foot stays where it would normally be in it. Yeah, think back. And don't do this. Right? If this, you're stuck. Yeah, there we go. Good. See, there you go. Step it. Yep. As soon as you get help with the cross, think of the collapse like using here. Oh yeah, and you're not looking in front. Just the back leg to give you a little problem from it. And even a bit, if you're doing it right, like there you go. Just falling forward. That's where you get that air. Now later, you can add this. As you're falling forward, you get this. But it is just collapsing. That's collapsing. So, good point here. You can think of this front foot as, here I'm saying my knee and I had flat foot. That flat foot means I take that knee bend a little bit more and I let my foot have that bend, flapping that and falling in. This is what we're doing, just falling, just catching ourselves. It's like you catch yourself all the time, right? So you get that bottom body, you're just catching yourself, right? Either catching up with what your body. So when that lot body goes to that back, it's not that happening. Yeah. Because you can essentially do this, and then your feet are just following your body lines. Good. So here's the straight. This is a straight. Sometimes I'll use this. I'll be out here. Now I'm going, hey, over. Right? And I throw it real quick. I'm not even trying to hit you. Sometimes I don't even do it. Sometimes I just use it as a breath technique. right? I mean, a lot of times I call it a stomp, that's what they do, but it's essentially a jab with some power. So what's happening, if I'm behind you for a shot, we're working. See how he shifted back for a second? See, I get, what am I doing? I'm breathing out, right? All that bad air. All that bad air is coming out and I'm leaving. I'm not actually throwing, I'm not engaging. I'm sucking good air back in. So now we'll get breathing. Because if I just hold my breath, and I'm like, because people may actually hold their breath.
For years.
I That's why you some people let it go. I usually make it up. Most of this is breathing is mostly active. There's too much tension in her body. So they can't really talk about breathing. You're just never in very good attention, so you're breathing again. Yeah, but if you're gonna run the walk, you're gonna have a whole room ready for you. What are you probably gonna do? Just breathe. Is that gonna work? Yeah. You'll pound that into the front. You already
It's exactly the stuff we talked about on the voice.
Don't, yeah. All of you, yeah. So, yeah, just think about it again. Think about flexing this knee. And raise the weight back from the left. Flaps it back. Yeah. Flaps it back. Yep. Flaps it back. Yep. Perfect. That's exactly. Yeah. See how much you got? That was a little bit, but you feel like that's all I get to pull it into right now. So, but when we flat, this is when we do both. Now you can like, right? Now when I pull, the whole thing changes, right? I mean, show everybody then, that's what I do. Go ahead and do another round. There you go. Remember when you're doing these, we're going to go back to the flex technique. And that is, you essentially just bend into this knee and lift. You're like flexing the knee lift. And you just do this all the way forward. Right? And if you want to get a bigger jump, instead of dragging the back foot, we're going to push the back, right? Start flexing even more. Push. Yeah. Don't laugh. You're going to push. Yeah.
Another fantasy, please.
Good. The biggest piece about this, if you notice, in this whole piece, we always have to give our feet back. We don't leave them in an extended position. Okay? Exactly. A lot of times, too, you're going to find in closer range, we'll short jump steps in longer range, we have larger. And a lot, so if I get to about here, if you can stay long, because he wants to take bigger steps, which is fine, I'm back here. I can just go ahead and, right? So we just work, you can have really long steps, right? 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 So now I'm over here, I'll find this is where I'll be. Okay? But then because what I did is, I just push over here a little bit, and then I'm back to this corner. I want to be on the outside of your foot, control that. So, remember, at range, you can use long steps. Lock when you turn it in tighter at that edge. Right? So now you want short. Because if I take a long step and he moves, or move in, I start stepping. I can't put that foot on the ground. Right? Well, I know I can see how on the outside. Just like in boxing, control the outside. It's just like it's innate. Okay? Because then your pitch is wrong. The reason why you can use that is you've got rotation all across the back. Right? So, but most people aren't doing it. Because actually, there's a lot more technique in rotation back. And there's actually a longer shot. It's good for that. No, there's lots of people fight it. All the mechanics are good, but I've never seen him throw. Right. So, different mechanics. So the idea here is, again, what we're doing is we're just falling into those steps. we're gonna, the last piece, and I'm just gonna show this, this is a die boxing thing. And it's just called the switch. We're gonna be centered. Again, try to keep your head flat. Look at the wall and see. And there's a reason that works a little bit. Because watch, this range will change. So historic vector, no, I'm like, right? He doesn't move closer to me. Right? Right, exactly. So you have to move closer to me, but that changes the range on your shoulder. So that's the description. They use that a lot in fly boxing, by the way. Because, and I think it was funny because the first time we did this, we were doing it for a while, Long Waller looked at us, and he's like, I get all the other stuff. I'm going to do a simple drop step off. Yeah, that's what we'll do. I'm going to do drop step over. No big deal. Why are we going to do this?
I'm gonna look at the backwards.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to bring it forward really slowly. I'm going to bring it forward here. And then, and he hit me in the back there, like, oh, okay. I'm like, look at that. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Good.
Because she needs to talk, and I have to look at this.
But people are different, right? I mean, oh, my goodness. No, you're like, right? You go there, and then my So, the piece on this is the switch footage. I use it sometimes, I don't use it as much as some other long haul users now and then. So he's going to throw a blow up movie. Alright? Very end, right? Now, you're not going to come any more close, you're just going to do switch foot and turn things on.
Yeah.
That's the difference. The shoulder is different, and we'll talk about that later on when we change angles and how the shoulder distances change just because of angle. But for now, that's why that switch foot works the way it works.
One thing I noticed is that when I try to side step, when I do this,
Yeah.
my feet tend to go narrow.
Yeah, you got to watch that.
Keeping
Yeah. It works, right?
keeping the widest is
You got to look, right? This is why, again, you're going into the point of why we do something over and over on a ladder, so we can see our weaknesses, and we can work on making a technique better, so that when we ingrain that technique, it's a good technique already. You can ingrain a lot of bad techniques if you're practicing bad techniques. Sometimes you'll just ingrain them, and then you work on the bad. No, it doesn't. You can work on good stuff. But that's.
Yeah.
So a lot of that. Yeah. Some people. Yeah, and it doesn't mean anything. These are, all these steps are normal steps, like when you go up and go into that gas, it's all the same. Yeah, you're flowing, you're actually diving into this hip, and then lifting your foot. You're not actually focusing on that foot when you're actually flowing. Yeah, right? But if you can't explain that,
Yeah.
but I want you to do that. On the brakes. So, the blow becomes a little harder when you're falling.
I'm not saying.
So that is motivating it, he may be virtual, right? So now you're going to get to showing the back movement, right? So, all right, let's go ahead and lift these ladders up. There's lots more ladder drills. I will, if I can post it, I'll post a bunch of links to the group we have. Something that Mike and I've seen this do before is if you create just a group for the here, dump them into the Facebook event. And then at Facebook event, essentially you have the link and it comes up, and if you guys have any questions, last week we have some more stuff there. And if I have to make a video for you, so if you want to know something,
Thank you. Thank you.
all right. So the next one goes right into flow work a little bit. So the point was brought up that we're all built a little different. He's going to travel much different than I am. He's going to be a little bit more lengthy in his steps, so he has to watch long steps. But he has a range that's farther away, so he also has to watch holding that range, not giving up for things. So the trick is we have to find and work on the things that fits our body. But sometimes we don't know what those are until you do. So that's why you try to learn lots of things and then figure out what works for you. Don't be careful on just throwing stuff out, because it may be useful for somebody else. So that's a really big key. This next exercise is relatively simple. And in this exercise, I'm going to everybody, you just do like 2 lines in front of me. If you can get about 5 feet apart. There we go. No, 2 lines facing me. There we go. Thank you. Back up. There we go. Good. 3 lines and 5. Here we are. So in this exercise, we're going to practice something, and it's going to sound really stupid, but it's really simple. I want you to start leaning. Keep your back perfectly. Remember being stacked. Hips under us. Want you to keep those hips. And then just fall forward, like you're literally falling over your feet and bring your feet again. There you go. Good. Okay. I see how you're leaning. See how you John those are? Okay, let's do it again on the fall. Ready? And lean. Wait for your belly, and then fall. And it's just going to be one more. So you just did the gather stuff. That's fine. You can do it the same way. You can set the distance. I'm leaning and I'm in the fall. That's fine. Or if you're going to add this extra step, you can try to find it. Okay? But always keep your feet back where they're. The longer they're apart, the more advantage your opponent can have. Because longer feet, greater. Okay? Begin. Yeah, now relax a little bit. You probably went too much. In fact, this time, I want everybody, we're going to take it as easy as possible. This time, we're not going to lift our front. We're just going to walk. So, I want everybody to take their back foot and put it in front of their other, just like you're walking down the street. Do you feel how, like, I'm stepping on this foot, and then I get all my weight here, and I push this foot up? And it's totally opposite than what we're going to be practicing. But that is to show you, when we walk, we post on the other foot and we step. We post, we step. We post, we step. If you do that in fighting, your weight is back here and you're stepping into it. So this time, I want you to start pushing forward and then take a step to the back foot as it needs. There we go. And then do it again. And then again, just walk. Let that back foot up. Yeah, there we go. Good. And there you go, good. And we'll get to the wall. Just try to stand on the wall. Right, there we go. Right. All right. So now, everybody face me. Back over there, face me. We're going to do 3 steps. So in this step, this is not my favorite what we're doing over here. We're talking about not posting on the foot. It's not doing this. Okay, triangle with this. Here's the same thing. So here I am, you are. Actually, look how I'm already here. Okay? Yes.
You just go over this posting terminology.
All right.
And what
So,
it absolutely means.
yes. When I post a level, I take a step. This is my front foot. Post means I put the weight on it.
Okay.
Then I lift this step and put this here.
Okay.
So when we normally walk, When I'm walking, wait, the weight goes when it's not. Yeah, it's up, right? In our case, what we want to do is we want to add flow, right? And Elvin talks about this. He has all this, he's leaning and he just flows into these positions, right? That's the thing. You can't walk in dance. You want to flow in dance. What we are doing in inviting dance is that I do these, and all the dancers are like, oh, isn't that cute? You guys are doing box steps, and you guys are doing all of this other type of dance steps. And I'm like, absolutely. Sometimes I'll even talk, and I'll get, when I used to do a little bit of ballroom stuff, sometimes they're uncomfortable, I'm like, you don't want any dancing, so I grab them, and you just, I don't know, flow with me. That is dance. The difference is, I am not dragging you. So the idea is if I'm here, I'm going to start flowing over here. Your job. See how it stops? There you go. See how you start? There you go. There you go. Feel better, but see how you start. Posting on that back foot. So this time, I'm going to lean, and then you just fall into that position. Fall. There we go.
And just to be clear, we clearly try to post on the latest.
Oh, yeah, we don't want to stop.
Yes,
Then go to like, here I am, I step, load up, that's
So I want to get that one forward, post in the front.
Yeah, if you want to go, lean onto that problem, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to come backwards in a minute, but
Yeah.
I'm more careful on the back one because people. So all we're going to do is this one, again, be comfortable here. I don't want you to overthink this one. Just lean over this, and when that back foot wants to leave the ground, let it leave the ground, fall forward, and start leaning onto that one. Start leaning. I'm almost like pushing my belly almost. But, oh, I'm pushing with my belt buckle. Right? And this is an exercise that we try to get into that allows, I'm going to develop all the way into front and backwards. Okay? But first, this time, and I got one thing here. Go ahead and back. Now, you kind of have a feeling. I'm not really fixing you guys. You don't have a lot of time for this. I'm trying to get you the base understanding of it. Later, like, I really want to be able to do this. We have time. Just come over, grab somebody else that's interested in doing it. We'll really dive in to make sure you know it. We'll take 5 minutes at that time. And I can evaluate it with you. This time, it's easy going forward. How about if I want to go backwards? Oh, I just take that here, and I go down. Look, oh my God, I'm so feet this. Again, I'm leaning, oh, let's look at it from. Now, I'm going to come at you guys this way. Look, here I am, I'm leaning. Right? Where's the sword going? This is not what I do. I'm leaning. No, I'm just walking straight forward. So, if I'm attacking someone, here's a great example. The best thing, we tell each other, is like, always fall back in an angle, right? And so you don't fall straight back, you get a double jab. So try to fall back in an angle. So I start falling back in an angle, but you walk that angle. You see, you turn. Right? So now just keep those feet with me. Yeah, just cross them. There you go. So now you can throw and block exactly the same way as you were before. The key on this is, as long as I'm always in my perfect form, okay, perfect form, maybe a couple of them, but as long as I'm in a form that I'm used to, from throwing and defensively, I'm strong. But as soon as you essentially, as soon as you turn, then all of a sudden your hips are pointing that way, my hips are pointing at you, and you're weak. So, that same thing, I'm going to walk this way. Look how easy that is. So I get people who are like, I thought I got away, I failed into a 45. I'm like, you absolutely did. I just know how to walk for a while. That's not hard. Well, it's hard actually if you don't do it. Because what I'll find, you're going to find, right as you start doing this, your hips will turn over. And you'll want to walk straight. Okay, so I'm going to break this group. I'm going to have this side do it first, come out the wall. Okay, and you guys are going to, there you go. You just track me. Anybody who wants, yeah, there you go. I'm going to fall back in a 25. Your job is again, you're gonna start leaning over, and when that back foot is free, you're just gonna walk and keep it nice and smooth. Walk on a 45. And see how you're stopping there? You see how you're just gathering feet? So if I see it, you're doing a nice job. Good job. I see a little bit this is a very, if you do that, it's gonna kill you every minute. Okay, because he's flowing, you're stopping. Okay? Exactly. So now you're changing all of those, aren't you? That's good. Okay, next group that want to try this. Same thing. I'm going to start way over here. Okay? And here we are. And I'm just going to fall back into a 45. Remember, feet are going to cross. I don't care. This is just walking. Okay? Talk about it. You know, boxing a lot. Just walking doesn't make any difference. Here we are. Yeah. Yeah, just out there. Keep your feet pointing straight at me. Yeah, you see, as long as you're, like, you're like pushing this hip and just crossing. See my hips? Put your hands, like, standing in your normal position, point your fingers. Okay? Pretty much straightforward, right? Now, I'm going to walk into a 45. Yeah, see how you turn? So we have a stick step. Because it's a weakness. When you turn, you lose your defense. Okay? So a lot of that, when you're falling back or you're falling forward, a lot of what I see a lot is people turn their foot in, and that moves their feet. So this is the same thing when I do a jab, they talk about you turn your foot in, you room your foot. Point your foot out. So even when I'm walking this way, I'm pointing my foot out. The natural is like, oh no, we're not doing that. Nobody's a dumb.
You're getting away from my sword, and I want to turn my head so that I can.
So here we are. I'm going 45, you just follow me and turn your hips. Right? Now you're actually facing that way. I'm facing this way. Right? Your shield is put behind you. Now, get right here. Right? Don't turn your hips. Follow me. Just walk. Just walk. Cross up there. See, now you're always on defensively. You're pretty strong now. Offensively, defensively, you're still strong. Does that make sense?
It does.
But we don't think about it, do we? So that's what I want to make sure. We don't think about it because we don't practice. We think about it when we make a mistake. So why not think about it before we have to make it? And we learn from mistakes after we make them multiple times. Here I can replicate a mistake multiple times in a minute. How many times do we get a chance to fight when we make that mistake? I'm going to learn it. What we're trying to do is learn it the right way first. Okay? We learn how to fight and endure mistakes against individuals a lot. That's the advanced part of learning. But in the beginning, if I can fix this mistake, you're a lot stronger right away. You're also not taking this mistake and inventing it. Because once you invent that, I'm trying to remember the stat, but it takes like 10 to 15 times more time to uninvent it. That's the uninvented. Right? Not necessarily put it the right way. So this is why you want to learn those ways first. This is why you drill. We don't do a lot of drilling. We're out there, I fight you, I see you in a month, and then I make the same goddamn mistake. And I see you in 2 months, I make the same damn mistake. But if I make the same mistake 3 or 4 times in a fight practice, I'm like, and then I start figuring some of what's going on, it's like, okay, I fixed it. Maybe not 100%, but enough that I know I can work on it. Okay, so let's walk that 45 again. I want everybody to go ahead so they know, and you can essentially hold your fingers on your side, any way you want. And then we're just I'm gonna move about 3 or 4 steps. You're not really ready to do that. Okay? Yeah, come on a little bit. We can do 3 lines after. Yeah. All right. Because I'm not gonna move the palms. Ready? And you're just gonna keep your hips on me. Let those feet cross. There you go. This is normal. Nice and smooth. Relax. Yeah. See the difference? Okay, let's just see. Ready? You're with me. Okay, everybody wants to do the back one already. I see it. This is fun. So the back 45 is actually a much easier position, by the way. Although we're going to learn the hard one first. Only because it teaches the shift the right way. So, I want everybody to pick a partner for a second because I'd like to make this safe. right? And I want your partner to turn around and put your back to the other partner. No, just one, okay? The person behind is the safe person, right? Everybody face me so that. All right. So, come on all the way forward. There we go. You're gonna be my partner. So, all the way. I'm gonna do it. I'll be you're gonna stand behind you. Okay? Put your hand right on my back. And I'm gonna start stating and you get it. Now, you're only there to say give my call. So take your hand off just a little bit. There we go. Look at this. And then when I have to move, I sit and I fall back. Don't lean back if you're gonna lose balance. And don't lean forward and try to head for something. All right, everybody walk forward again. Forward. Give a little bit more room, come on all the way forward. All right, again, if possible, okay? That's it. Good. You should barely feel your hand. Sorry. This is hard, isn't it? Now, I want everybody, don't put your hand on their back. Just put your hand out, and try not to touch them unless they start falling in. Okay, at least paper. As much as you can. I don't want to get into the ground. I start leaning, now I just catch myself. Right? See your body places back. That's hard, isn't it? That's what we don't do normally. Is we don't like falling down. This is why even shifting forward, this is not natural for us because it puts us in a position where we feel like we're falling. This is even to be able to do that move, you have to build trust in your body. I had a lot of people, including my squire, reach that once, trying to build the falling back trust. Because mentally it gets to get that way. Because it's not something we do all. But watch this. Okay? How do you usually get away? Just your normal way. I come in. Okay? Now, where's your shield going in that position? But, now, is that, so you're right here, right? Yeah. I want you, so see how, your sword, the hits are up. Your sword's there. Now throw a shot. Right? You notice he's throwing it about the other right. Now just get into a normal, bring it just back up. Now throw a shot. See the difference in height on that spot? It's very hard to throw shots here because you're no longer able to lift. Also, defensively, your hand starts here, right? Now, back up. You see how now, very hard to block that, isn't it? Yeah. So you actually put yourself in a more dangerous position. And by going back, you're always pushing off your front feet. So you're actually driving. In football, that's what we do. Right? You drive with the front feet. Okay? And you do get speed out of that. But in the fighting, the key is when you're falling back. I can change direction very easily, right? We do this all the time. And actually, this is the reason he moves so well. You look and see some of the stuff he's doing. Well, what we're teaching here is flowing with your body. This is very hard to flow. Right? Exactly. It's hard. You're going to end up not and stuff. Right? It's hard to flow in this. So you get stuck at points. And people like him, as soon as he gets you to go backwards and bend, he's going to go around you. This is a terrible, absolutely easy for him. Yeah, right. In fact, he loves it. He's like, I'm going to hit you anywhere in the back I want. Right. But you're kind of smart. Even if you're driving, you're not going to be as fast as him going fast. Because to drive, you have to get into both feet and push. You're already put back. Does that make sense? Comparative to, now, he's going to push me back. See, now he's not, right? Now we're all like this now, right? Okay, and I can change too in that. So all of a sudden, again. Right? Yeah, but you see that wall. So you notice that even over here, it's full. Yeah. So what we're teaching, you notice again, how do we flow? From our hips down, like this, right? So what we're teaching right? And like right now, you're just starting to creep into that flow, like you're really wanting to do these. But I've seen you already start like, you get a nice flow and then you're like, not sure. All we're trying to do is keep the not sure. So if you do it enough, you take the not sure. Because you know why? You take the not sure out of everything. I'm not sure I'm going to beat that person.
Question, we should be thinking about it before our strategic.
No, absolutely. You think all.
Really?
I think you have a meeting model where everybody's like, you guys think, this is the war, so I threw my shot today.
Okay.
Yeah? I evaluate, you think as well. The trick is, wow, here's the thought process. Here we are. You start pushing and go either way. He makes an evaluation of how I'm doing. That evaluation is taken.
Oh,
You should think about like, is that?
Yeah, so I think some of us may have interpreted all this question about to say, should I be thinking about what I do with each of my feet every time I move them?
No, that's why we're
I
practicing.
think that's kind of what I took away from the question. I think I'm thinking about a lot of stuff, but I'm not thinking about every place my foot goes.
So you're going to get in there to clarify it. We practice technique to forget.
It's a community control structure.
Uh-huh.
You automate processes and then you manage the automations. You don't do all the work.
Exactly. His foot, from here to here, he does not think about. Where I move, he thinks, sees it, evaluates it very quickly, and then his movement is without arms. Right? Because if all of a sudden you do something and I do something different, like, oh, I haven't done it. That's the thing. You put that in mind for a lot of yeah, but let's put it in next.
What's my role? My role.
That's right. I do it all the time.
And then the food rolls together.
Yeah.
And sometimes you cry.
Yeah, I mean, the trick is, I think, that's where I want to be. Then I ask for it.
I didn't have my foot there. It's
Okay?
there, so.
Execution is without. I throw a sword. Bang! I'm like, I want to hit that gap. It is there, right? I'm not thinking about my hand, my fingers have to move. I have to shift my weight. I have to move on to the toe to foot. I have to create all this okay.
Not realistic.
Because we practice that to get to that entertainment of that.
That should be pushed.
Takes a long time. We tend to force it on people into those.
Can you give the trainer respect when he's talking, listen to him? You want to have a conversation, go in the other room, okay? Because I'm deaf, and I only can hear him, and I want to hear what he's saying.
It's harder to get her.
Respect the trainer, thank you.
So,
You are.
no question, you're asking me questions.
I still want the extra conversation.
So again, the idea is that when the execution is without thought, but we have to practice execution. Because at first we don't know it. And for some people it's natural, okay? Some people it takes a lot of effort. Like, hey, you gotta pull that pinky in. You know, it's like when I throw this at that angle.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, we do it, but do we help? So you understand, everybody understand what I'm talking about throwing my pinky? You're gonna find a lot of people actually fight like this,
Yeah.
okay?
Doesn't the motion and force you to move?
It absolutely, I see people can't all
I can't instruction like this without my hand.
Yeah, but if I'm throwing a shot,
I think that's slow, but it's a little like 4 on 25 or 30.
and it's actually, how many people throw a shot or throw this in modern day?
Well,
Guys,
is that even a shot? The thing that leader?
yeah, no, this is, hey, when I'm throwing a basket sword shot, which is the power hand? This is, it's left. This is just a geiger. Well, guess what's a geiger on your sword?
We use triggers, Richard. It's the same.
Yeah.
Trigger, yeah, the trigger does it. Really, your hand is really doing it, the trigger adds. It adds a safety net to your head. Sometimes I don't even hold it. It's like, I'll throw it and I'll look for the kid and bounce it back in line. I don't suggest it.
This where they have to.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, in fact, a good practice on this, is Grace, I want to say Sven, it's not Sven, but there's big things, Sven. I suppose that. He's out of that one here. He does that, there's a great video, anybody wants to see it, I'll post his video. He uses that drill, and he'll do it with a hammer. So you have to have flow, and he'll do it with a hammer so that you can start understanding how he throws his stuff. He goes a little bit more from anterior, so he goes a little more with the anterior flow. His backside flow is really nice. I would suggest watching those videos and practicing. But that hammer develops, if you try to just a hammer, then you kind of stuck from one point to the other. But it develops a lot of strength in your hand and forearm, and it teaches you natural flow of your hand. Okay? Natural flow is very difficult.
With training reasons.
Yeah, sure, same thing as well. Okay? So this is a little out of what we were talking about, but what we're talking about is flow here. Alright, so we went through a little bit of backwards, a little bit of forwards. I'm not gonna worry about, I do all of these forward and back, corner to corner, both forward and back for people, and then I do side to side. So when we travel side to side, you don't think about it a lot. This is actually probably the hardest way to travel. So as we're traveling side to side, so here's the difference between steps, by the way, and we actually broke these out, really defined them in COVID, but a gathering step is where feet don't come together. Okay? A shuffle step, our feet come together. A back step. Now, why would we change our steps to any of those and not just do the gatherings? Anybody? Distance. Yes. Yeah, most of the time, I want to get in far. Or turn. Right? So Volunteco does something in here, and he's blocking, and he's all of a sudden, right? He's right behind. You know, so it gives a toll. Right? So sometimes it's like, I want to be running that. Right? Okay? So that's why, but you notice, sometimes there's front step, so you grab, there's a back, and then after that back, there's another curve around. So here's the problem in the SN. We see this a lot, and that is someone would attack you, and you just blow right back. Okay? So attack me, you're like, bang! So look how they're keeping going. Can you fight anymore? But we do that a lot, because he's not fighting anymore. He did his technique, he's going to turn around back there, right?
can you do that to me a lot?
But even if he doesn't, even if he just passes me, there's a stop, and his feet are still pointing the wrong way. So now they want to adjust his feet. So, we do a rotational drill, and I'm going to do this little step we did on the floor. Remember all of these techniques we showed? Just simple process. Only difference now is you hit it forward, what you were talking about earlier, is like hurting, not going in. Absolutely.
Okay, that's right.
So now, I want to get around this. So, this foot, here, now what? Here's my angle. Look, does this angle ever come off wrong? If I don't turn my foot as well, bang, I can use all that. Bang! Where are my angles? But if I turn this way, bang! A lot deeper. Where are my angles? My way, yeah. That's what I'm doing. Defensively, offensively, in the right spot. This is one that's really hard to do, not me. So what I usually do is five like this or a circle. Your front foot is always going to touch that circle. So here, circle. So keep good even place it and concentrate on that. And you do it just by itself. So I want everybody to make your partner in. I got the best end. So we've got a partner again, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. I'm only right now really just showing you together. I'll show you the stuff all together just in a thing. Think about this later. I'm just gonna stand, you're not gonna turn, and I'm always gonna try to make it. See, I'm just gathering my feet. And then after you do it once, one more time, tell how many steps you have to go around. Then of course, are we done? Oh, I can do the other way. But this foot has to turn in. Watch what happens if I go for that foot. How do I get it?
Yeah.
I was just getting hammered with this. I saw these the other, like 2 weeks ago, with baskets were trying to drop our.
No.
And I would step and then try to turn my foot in.
Too late.
Every time he was hammering me.
But if you step and you're turning, you're sit.
Yeah.
Probably pretty manual for you. Okay. So, the second here. Yeah, that's clean.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, that's why we had to go to the final rankings.
Now I'll do this, I'm trying to do the sword, and thinking about, yeah, talking about. So, I don't a lot of really see, but I tell you, yeah, right? Too much of a conversation. I'm going for it. Yeah. It's not a for them. Right. Yeah, a minute on that. Yeah, sure.
And go around and get There you go. Yeah, no, I really am the
Yeah, I really want to.
So the big thing for focus on.
Right, there is only all that is technique. So that's why you're left by the back. That's hard. But all I'm doing is, look, when I get far out, I can like put it away. And I said, like, I want something else. Over here. They think about all of 45 minutes.
All the way back into your
You're closing in very.
Right? So, the hard part here, everybody go ahead and like, you're gonna try out the flow. And so now we're going to so we have now is what for neighbors, right? Yes. How you feel on moving around? You look like you're. Okay, and now, that's not good. That's not good. Yeah, you're doing. Here you go. The beginning of your. That's not just think about when you start to do the work. Right? How do we feel over here?
No, you're right.
The one thing we
But it's not very good.
And it's because you guys bring it up, and I love this idea, and that is, there's a lot of, and the reason why this room is so noisy is because everybody's helping each other with feedback. And this is really important. They were helping each other, it's like, okay, your chest is pointing the wrong way, right? Well, not all the time can your teacher watch everything. But if you understand what's supposed to be happening, then you can help all the time. Everybody's. So that's why we're doing things. And if you're not sure if something's happening, then you pull somebody in to help. But it's really important that if I'm doing something and I'm doing it wrong, that the whole doing it wrong. So the conversations are really good. What we're teaching in this move is feet. We talk about where the feet should be pointing. Do you think where your feet should be pointing all the time? No, not at all. Later on, you should be. But right now, if you're not thinking about it, you throw that big hook. Where's my hook? wrong way. And I can't do much else without reposting back. So I'm grateful for it. But as soon as I pull it here, now I can keep constant pressure on those. Even while you roll around, he gets all the time. He could roll around either way, and he's like always in some type of pressure. And then if I tweak it, oh look, what's going the other way. But I'm stopping, and then he goes the other way, and I'm adjusting, and then he can go the other way. Right? You do this, Lomachenko does this all in boxing. And he's the little kickback, the same shuffle step that I didn't show the shuffle step much today. I'm going to show it in a second, just briefly. If I can get in this corner here, Mike Tyson would be bang, and then he's like bang, and he's bang, bang, bang. That's on like roll as well. Because what's happening is he's getting, and what's happening is you pop your hip really quick. So you're here, and he's throwing punches inside. And as long as that person's a little off beat, he's going to stay on. And then you got a number of blows until they either fall out or they get back in the beat. And he was fast enough. It was really hard to get back in the beat. He hit you hard enough with everything. It didn't matter. It would freeze you. And you'd have to catch your balance. It takes time. He's already in the other corner. Okay? So that's the same thing. Here, we can practice that a bit. I'm not going to talk about this at all. We've been through this. I'm going to go through a slow drill. I just want everybody to the next level of drill. We're going through very fast. I apologize. Yes?
We have another question.
Yeah, there's no doubt question.
Could you define the beat concept in writing?
The big concept of fighting?
The beat that actually happens.
The beat.
Yeah.
So, the beat is like a music. I'm not a music person. It is 100% like music. It's like, you can get it from singing, you can get it from almost anything. There's a series of things that might be walking here, 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 here. Nice. Speed up that beat. Here, 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 here. Right? Like sped up that. A drum, same way, and a beat. Okay? So now I can change that beat. Here, 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 here. Sometimes we call that change of tempo.
Yeah, like I was just going to ask, you have teaching and practicing music.
I have some people that so if they have, when you talk about this, you think too much. Like my squire, she actually puts a song in her head because she thinks way too much. She puts a song in her head, and she'll go out there and she'll be singing that song. And that brings up a lot of thought, but it puts her in a repeat.
I like that.
Yeah.
You just went to stop singing?
Yeah, sure. And then you can change the tempo of the music and the tempo of the life. So yeah, does that help a little bit? So, when I talk about, sometimes here's the beat, here's here, here. That's two beats, right? You can have that beats, just like in music, okay? But all of a sudden, if I don't do this, I take the stop, and I bam. I shorten that beat. I take the beat out, or I recently have maybe. Because you're still in filter. But that's part of it.
And I think what he means when opponents off this is that you are changing the tempo of the fight for your own. Because we both have a beat, right? And we both try to impose that on another person, right? And if you can impose your tempo, right? They are doing 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
Right? And you do 2 into that, right? You're like, whoa, where did this shirt that come from, right?
Like, you gotta watch him, and he'll change the beat, so we're gonna flow a little bit, and at some point, we'll change that beat. Okay? Keep going, we can get the beat changed, too hard, too well, right? There. Do you see the change of beat? I was going this way, you went that way.
I was enjoying the movement, sorry.
I know, I screwed up, I kept moving with you on that first one, I'm like,
It's the same principle, all I'm saying is right, but I just think that's not.
So that's the change, and you're right, it's hard to define, we don't talk about it a lot, the music piece was a really good way to talk about that. But we change the beat, we can change the speed or the tempos. We can do all of those in Limited Fun. But that's a high, if you don't know how to do those things, we're not really developing a fun. Right? Go ahead.
You did have it.
One of the things I was finding was bad stepping, but if I'm stepping too far, if I'm not putting the toe out, I'm gonna roll my ankle.
Yeah.
So what I need to do is not try to bring my toe in, but make shorter steps.
And so, especially people with ankle problems, this is very difficult to turn that foot. So a lot of times what you want to do, you want to step in that direction and turn it and not roll your foot.
Okay, so the step and adjust is up.
It always works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're doing really bad, this is a bad thing, I don't think you're breaking out, that's why we ran close record. But if you land that right, what I do is I land it on the inside foot and I roll to that.
Yeah.
What I did, and I practiced that after I sprained my ankle badly and couldn't really do much. So when I step around in a hurry, there.
Yep.
I turn so I land in the angle where I want to be, right? So that I have not this force, but that
Land
the force gets into my big toe.
Exactly.
Yeah, and and you can correct a little bit, right? But this is see my foot lands there and I'm perfect. And you need to practice that slow with the sword, right? You need to be able to, okay, have I still the same form? Does my sword still touch where it's supposed to be?
Right, and that's why we did this circle bit.
Yeah.
So, 100%, if you have a weakness, just think about, this is comfortable, but I then have to get into position. Okay. And then that soon will turn into, okay, this is comfortable, and then later on, you're like, I'm finding my place here. And it becomes, so long as it's comfortable, you can move like it. Is this comfortable? Probably. You're like, okay. Here's the, I still have this, I don't want this foot to go ahead of this foot. I know, but it's not as often anymore, and I do see people, it's like, I like walk at them, and they're like, right? And I see this, and I'm like, oh, geez, this wall. We are at a range, you can walk any way you want. From up here to whatever you want, it doesn't matter. I can't really do much. By the way, we're talking about this great inspection. This is a fight line, right? There's 100%. You're tapping my corners and see if he can get initiative on me. See, not pull. He's got that, he's perhaps that.
May I add a quick?
Yeah.
Be really aware of your traction situation. Sometimes we fight on wet passes. Sometimes we fight in football boots. If you try to rely on a twist to fix your movement, after you throw your body weight behind it, you can blow your ankle out. If you've got really good grip, if you've got bad grip, you need to change your footwork almost entirely, right? So I'm in a bit of a sticky shoe, but I can bust loose on the faster parts of the floor. If you're in a football boot, awesome. You wear a football boot, you hit a stone, all of a sudden you don't interact. Or you're on slippery grass with nice leather shoes, but you step in a rut and you expect your foot to turn and it doesn't. That's how Duke would order. So be really, like your traction situation is really critical to your footwork, and you need to be aware, if you change your shoes, change the surface you're fighting on, be really aware about how much you can twist or you can't twist and how much you can rely on that.
You've got over the tennis. It was the castle, and it was the
Yeah.
box.
That's. But in this, one second, in the other defense, you guys have to build a castle.
Are you going to talk how to control
Yes.
range?
Well, that is actually what, but first we're going to control, we're going to take all that stuff we learned, and we're going to create some flow between us. Because rain is all about connection. And until you can keep a good connection, it's hard to control rain. Does that make sense? Okay? So we saw a couple examples of rain, but this was an example of rain too. And here we are, we're working with rain. So we're going to take the example, I'm walking at you, now you're walking back to my spot. And Paul teaches this, by the way, he talks about force. Okay? Here I am. You don't want to rethink. You just want to be able to be part of what's happening. Look how we're traveling sideways. Nice and smooth. There we go. There, perfect. Look how we're. Sometimes I don't like how we're. If I need a little bit of help, that helps them get it thinking out. There we go. This looks stupid, right?
No.
All right. I stole this directly from him. He talks about force. There's a certain energy between us actually happening, even more. But this is all about not forcing what you want to do, but making a connection. You're right? That's perfect.
Just a sidebar version of sticky hands.
100%. Now we're using feet. It's fun. In the West, they do a lot of warm-ups, flow work, or resort work, and flow all the time, right? Uther was watching our practice. We do exercise. We'll put 2 cones on the ground, and we'll do a figure 8. There's a ton going on in figure 8. Remember how we thought about changing, like leaning and moving in a direction? Look, I'm moving in this direction. Oh, I'm changing. I'm falling back into this direction. I'm rolling. Now I'm rolling here. Look. Right? Even better in this is I'm fighting, and the reason why we started that, you can make that long, by the way. Long. There's a lot of change in that feet, isn't it? Because there's a ton of body position change. You're moving from here. Who do you push? Here you go. I'm going to push at the end of the circle. Not push. He's taking. You pull. See what's happening here? There's a ton of pushing forward, right? In the figure 8. There's a, that's two different forwards. One is longer and one shorter, but there's a lot of positional body change that's happening here. You notice that they move on T. So at any given point, you can be throwing. I'm pushing. He's still throwing. Now he's pushing. Oh, there we go. I'm pushing him. Now he's going to be flat. Oh. Now I'm pushing over. He did a little effort, and you got to there, right? So what's happening in that is we're like you're feeling that push and pull. Because we do a lot of push and pull in things. But, you know, there's times I'm like, okay, I'm going to get right here, because I want to do something. All I want is one step. And I might stay with that step. And he's like, okay, I want to pull. And then he's falling back and he's pulling. Even this is push, pull. Does that make sense?
I'll also add, okay, Chris.
What do we?
Following with someone who's moved, like gone very steady with their movement, it's much harder to know when he's changed direction.
So
Then, you know, if we're doing, I can see a directional change when people are,
In fact, I'm watching for that.
when someone's almost like a hovercraft, or like one of those modern tanks where you see the turret, the barrel is just steady and the bottom's doing this. It's a lot harder to see direction change drilling with his brakes than with other people, which is really good for him.
So I'll look for that. And so I'm going to put it in a position where now he's running the phone. See, I'm over here. Where's he facing? This is a great position. Now that's a big change. Watch this. I totally changed position. Did anybody see how I changed position? Wow, I push him over here. Look at this foot. And then when I stand up at the end of the other, he's in my 20%. And you got that one, he's actually behind me. And his back legs are up, and even if you stand back up, he's quick. I'm here, I'm here, he's still here. Straightforward. That arm is farther back. So here, you can hit me, here, you're hit. This is a really nice position. Same thing happens in this position. I'm here, he can throw a straight shot. I'm here, that tip usually has a one. Usually the elbow comes, and then as that elbow comes across the body, the outside tip of the sword creates a little slip. And then that flip is easy to see because it's breaking, it's essentially breaking the lines that you see, and it's easier to go. So it's like, here it is, right there. That was just a 20 degree. The other one was a 90 degree. So, but they're all important. So that's why you have to think about, you see how live football becomes important? You're always trying to get a better, right? The reason he can do the things he does is because he's always in a better angle. So even small angles, set up. Here we are. So we sit up here. I'm like, look at that arm. Where are you putting?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hang out. I'm resting by the way he is not. Because he's like, son of a bitch, you can hit. And I'm not comfortable here. Because this is not a good place. You're like, oh, my shield line is being very defensive. And even if you turn a little bit, you still, it's very, now your feet are in the wrong place, right? Because I have to move sideways and post it.
Yeah.
So, that little tiny position change makes a huge difference. If you don't follow it, and I learned that from when we're traveling. If you don't follow it, then I'm going to use it. But I don't have to be in range to see what you do. I can literally see, here we are, I'm out here, and we're like, oh, didn't move a seat. I'm good. Thank you. Right, now this side, I'm going to shift here, and when I shift over here, I'm going to shift. Remember how we shift the same angles? Oh, this is not. That was super easy step.
Yeah.
Why don't we do it? I mean, it sounds stupid, but we don't.
So what I see is, if you lean, I lean, if you step, I step.
That's right.
And that's,
But didn't we do what we did?
Yeah. Remember, we're 3D, right? We got all the directions. That doesn't include, it's not just a flat plane. It's an up and down plane. You notice when we're doing stuff, especially, he's like, this is like, see, as I push here, there's a little bit of a push weight back there, then I want to take this corner, right? So I'm just looking for things. But that's up and down. So we use all those things, but first we have to understand where we are in the plane. Does that help? Now, we're going to work that a little bit slower, and all of it for a long bit. See what we were just doing? I just wanted everybody to grab the partner, we're going to be really small. All I wanted to say, I'm going to be the leader. You have to do what I'm doing. Figure out who's the leader, and then if they're having a hard time, use your fingers to point where you're going. And I just want you to start really slowly stepping. And I don't care where your feet are or how your balance is, I just want you to keep this perfect. Yeah. Good. Good. That's all I want you to do. See how it sounds stupid, but when you start doing it, what's going to happen is you're going to want to do something and you're not walking your phone. You're not connected. Can I show you? Here's that connection thing, by the way. And it's something like I was showing a long time ago. And we create a connection. Here we are. And it's not a broad connection. He's like looking right here, and it's all over. So here we go. Right? Here we are. And we're creating some flow. Right? So sometimes again, when somebody throws that connection away, now he doesn't have to worry about it. Just he's posting his connection and not looking in the eyes, it's a big boxing thing, by the way. Sometimes, I mean, even when you look through the eyes, you don't look through the eyes, you're dead eye, you're like, you're the back of the head. But, here's another. This side, ready? I'm gonna come forward and you go back. There we go. A little harder for a second, as soon as I look away, what happens is like, where did I go? Because I broke that connection. So when you create a really good connection with someone, you can break those connections, and it creates a weakness for a second. So we see that, and like White does that a lot when he throws punches. So he's here, throwing that connection away, the hand coming out right after. And he doesn't talk about throwing a connection away, but he creates a really good connection. Hands are here, you have a great connection, that hand, right? And then all of a sudden, like, bam! Rumble does this, to be like, here I am, he's working, bam! He's like, body goes, and you're like, going that way. Oh, my sword's still over here. What's he looking at?
So basically that's because sometimes I just like myself a shield.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you, right?
Yeah.
And that seems to withdraw people.
Because
It's the same
sometimes, so a good piece here is flat where they're connected. Then we get to a eye connection, we move it down to your chin. Okay, if you're tall, move it to the top of your wrist. Otherwise, you're going to chin, they're going to bend your chin, and then they're going to bend your shoulder. So you should be almost looking at my forehead all the time. Okay, and that's going to keep you nice and upright, and it's going to allow you to do everything you want to do. Does that make sense? As soon as you look down, yeah, you don't need to. Or just drop your bottle. But it's a little harder, especially with all the stuff that happened. But the idea is you can look up, you can still see all down here. Right? Here we are. We're still seeing it. See, now you're now look at down. See how now all of a sudden the shoulders tilt a tiny bit.
Interesting.
Okay. Let's get a little water. I'm going to practice this real quick. And what's that back? If you have a light harness or under harness, go ahead and put that outside one. Just as long as you can still. Okay? And you're going to have to move in armor at some point. Don't need to put on all your harness. Don't need to put on any harness.
I'll stay with all that, yeah. What about your cross on it?
That's it. Just pretend you have a little rubber duck on this end. Then you get that shine, you get the jaw.
Sorry about that.
No, it was hard to really don't realize how they hear differently. You pick up the noises from points that feel different, and it's really difficult like that. I had two guys that one meetings. Easy. Yeah, I know you're right. But it's hard for other people. No. But they're small at the same.
The only person thinking about is me.
This is what I mean.
This is what I need. That's how.
100%. You're doing stuff.
It's good. It's good defensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's flow. He has some natural flow, so that's good one.
A lot of that is very great.
Yes.
Well, we don't do that.
I'm working on high that. Yeah.
I have a lot of fun.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Well, the good part is, if you come out and we practice this forces you. Right?
I will be facing my opponent.
Yes.
If I'm facing anywhere else,
Yeah.
that's not helpful.
And that's a really good, I would talk about it, I put it in the pot. And if there's a piece of pie, and I always keep my feet, then the pie. All right. All my football, that's
That keeps it high. How you doing?
Oh, okay, I'm gonna live the windmill space.
So let's not, when I come back out, I was thinking, I want to see how your circle is around me.
Yeah.
And then with some of the other exercises, like floor exercises, gravity, and we're going to be body over there.
Okay.
And then, it's not, yeah, well, it's not, it is a whole,
Didn't think about it.
it's got videos,
All things, just dancing back in my head. How much dance has actually been developed for exercise? I mean, literally, how many actual dances?
how many comes up in confidence?
All the other practices, you do dance to practice for the fighting.
Drill.
You know, good, really, it's a football, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, fine. But no, you know, a lot of things